Get lifetime access to all 13 plus Andrew Tate courses.
I'm not saying feeling depressed is not real. Everyone feels depressed. I'm saying the idea of depression as something you cannot control is a dangerous idea and paradigm. The reason so many people are committing suicide is because the Matrix is telling you that if you feel depressed, you cannot fix it. They tell you that depression is a disease that you can catch from the sky no matter how fantastic your life is, and you have no control over it. And I argue that absolutely. The reason the Matrix wants you depressed and sad is because when that happens, you are selfish. If you're depressed and sad, you only care about yourself. You don't care about your community or your family. You don't care about the world. You do not stand up for anything. You will accept being fucked in the ass like True Geordie. You'll accept any amount of garbage they want to give you, any Matrix slave mind programming, because you're too busy being sad to resist. This is why they tell you that when you are depressed, it is a disease. It is not a disease. You're depressed because your reality is depressing. The truth is, if I lived the reality that most of these depressed people live, I'd be depressed. Your reality is depressing. You wake up, your wife doesn't love you, your kids don't respect you, there's no milk in the fridge, and you're almost dead. Of course you're depressed. You're running out of time. You never had any fun or adventure. Andrew Tate's out here with all his supercars, living the life. We're here in Dubai doing a podcast. You're a brokey. Of course you're depressed. That's because your reality is depressing you. The depression is something deep in your heart and soul telling you that you need to change things. That is the unlimited trauma, the power I was talking about earlier that you can take all of that depression and convert it into unlimited energy to fix your life. Energy cannot be destroyed, it can only be converted. Take the depression and turn it into motivation. And all of a sudden, you'll see how fantastic your life is. A guy emailed me saying he was depressed, he was going to kill himself. And I said, listen, before you do that, get a six-pack. He said, what are you talking about? You're fat, get a six-pack. If you still feel like killing yourself, good luck. By the time he sent me pictures of a six-pack, it was long emails thanking me. I saved his life. His reality was depressing. Of course you feel depressed if your reality is depressing. If your reality is fantastic, you won't feel depressed. I guarantee there's a whole bunch of people you can give $1 million to and the depression will disappear. The argument against that is why the famous people kill themselves, which I'm about to answer in a second. And the answer to that is actually going into the broader point. That the way the Matrix teaches about depression, they're trying to teach you to be helpless. They're teaching you that you cannot fight against it unless you take pharmaceutical drugs. And I say that it is not real in that paradigm, and that believing that is the case is going to destroy you. Having no hope will prevent you from fighting back. They're telling you it's hopeless, and it is not. If you do not believe in depression, like I do not believe in depression, no matter what bad things happen to me and how bad and depressed I feel, I know I can fix it. That will make me fight harder than if I believe I cannot fix it. The reason that rich people kill themselves is because they buy into this paradigm completely. They go to a therapist, and the therapist says, you have depression. It's not your fault. It's a disease that nobody can fix, and I can't help, and nobody can help. Then they give them a bunch of mind-altering drugs. Then they sit them there in therapy to talk about all the bad thing that's ever happened to them. Let me tell you something. If someone told me that I felt shit and I couldn't help it no matter what I did about my life, gave me a bunch of mind-altering drugs, and then sat me down to repeat all the bad shit that ever happened to me for hours and hours a day, I'd kill myself. There gets to a point where it just ain't fucking worth breathing anymore if you're gonna believe in that bollocks. But if you wake up and go, you know what? They're saying this is a disease, but I don't accept that paradigm. I don't believe in it. I believe that I can fix this myself. I believe if I change my reality and create an experience of life that I am absolutely and utterly satisfied by, I will no longer feel depressed. You will cure most of your own problems. Take two men, put them in two individual haunted houses. Haunted houses. One believes in ghosts, one doesn't. There's a loud noise in the night. The one who believes in ghosts wakes up and is paranoid, is afraid, can't sleep, is sitting in the corner of the room shaking. The one who doesn't believe in ghosts goes back to sleep. It is the belief in the ghost which punishes him, not the ghost itself. If you do not believe in depression, you can never be depressed. That's why I don't believe in it. And to go into a broader point about all of that, I don't even give a shit if I'm wrong. Because I've adopted a mental model that makes me ultimately and utterly competitive in all realms of human endeavor. And if by me not believing in depression, I am better at fighting the idea of being depressed, if I am better at making myself feel happier, if I am better at regulating my emotions by not believing in an idea, then I'll continue to stay wrong. I do not believe in things that take power away from me. I believe in things that make me more powerful. I will not sit here and start believing in ideas that are going to reduce my competence. Absolutely or utterly not. So I don't give a shit what scientist, doctor, I don't give a fuck who you put in front of me and try to convince me I am wrong. I don't believe in it because I am more competitive in this realm. And for the people who believe, if you and I go through the same terrible experiences, the same level of heartbreak and trauma, I guarantee your belief will destroy you when mine won't. And why would you believe in an idea that is against you? Why would you let your own mind become your enemy? Don't people understand that the entire world, the entire matrix is against you? If you can't control your own mind, what chance do you have? Every single ounce of my body is on my side. My mind is my ally, all the way down to my feet, my fingers. Every single part of me is absolutely and utterly on the same team. We are a united front against the enemies of freedom. How can I have my own mind betray me and tell me that I can't do something? I don't give a fuck if I decide to jump off this building. If I decide I'm not going to die, I am not going to die. My own mind will not betray me. Perhaps I'm wrong, but I believe that I stand a better chance of survival if I believe I will survive, as opposed to thinking I will certainly die. People underestimate the power of the mind. I do not believe in anything that takes power away from me. And another thing I do not do is adopt the thinking of people who are sad. When I say this, depressed people send me long emails trying to convince me I am wrong. Why the fuck would I want to think like you when you don't want to live? Why would I want to think like you when you want to kill yourself and I'm perfectly fine? Adopting the thinking of somebody who doesn't want to live anymore is probably the most stupid, asinine, inane, childish, ridiculous thing a functioning adult can do. If you're depressed, I don't want to think anything like you, so take your opinion and get fucked.
2 more questions. We were talking as we walked in briefly about how the UK is fucked.
Correct.
So just,
we agree. Let's shake on that.
Agree.
We agree.
Yeah, we agree. So do you want to just give us a little snapshot of your thought on the state of the UK, the politics in the UK, your thoughts?
Sure. Empires rise and fall, civilizations decline. It's such a shame because the patriotic Brit in me is genuinely appalled at how it was the largest empire on earth. The good old World War II days, stiff upper lip. Britain was such a beautiful country. The countryside to this day is still beautiful if you can avoid the crime-ridden cities. It's truly a shame what's happened to that amazing nation. They have failed because they have abandoned their age-old traditions. They've abandoned their religion. Christianity has failed to preserve any morality amongst the populace. It's failed to be a fearsome ideology that people do not want to fight against. So Christianity as a religion has failed by extension. And the UK is now attempting to use civility and legality to fight against absolute savagery, which is an extremely inefficient way to fight. Efficiency wins, and they will always lose. If you have people who can get whatever they want with 3 inches of sharpened metal, and your enemy against this is 2-year court cases, human rights objections, a lawyer, a legal team, tag, home leave, cultural differences, how could you possibly win? They can go to Wilkinson's and spend £2.50 and get whatever they want. You spend millions and millions and millions and you can't even beat the guy. It is an inefficient system and they are going to lose. The general populace are afraid to speak. They're afraid to stand up and talk about the true issues. There are people who are exploiting the UK because of its softness, because it is a soft target.
You need to
Hard
rewire
times.
your mind and resist.
We know this one and how that all ends.
I'll tell you.
And the UK is at the decline of its empire, and there is nowhere for it to go but down. There is no way they can possibly fix it because the populace itself are not acknowledging the problem to its true extent because they're matrix-minded, and the news says it's not that bad. And they're also not hard-hearted enough to fix it. We live in Dubai. Sorry, we're in Dubai now, where you have 200 different nationalities, an 85% immigrant rate, and zero crime.
By the end of the day, I'll watch myself.
Because people fear the law.
How quickly I'm looking.
It's kind of like
how little time I give.
You walk into someone's house and it's pristinely clean.
And then I'll blink and I'll cure
when
my
you finish with your
brain.
cup, you'll take it out.
You must
But if you
allow
walk into
yourself
someone's
to be
house, it's a
manipulated, and
shithole.
you must fix it.
When you finish with your cup, you leave it on the table. Who
If
cares?
you
It's a
cannot
shithole.
control your own mind,
That's the problem we have.
then
with the
you
UK.
are
You
just
walk
a
into Dubai,
feather
everyone
in the
behaves, so
wind
you
of
behave.
life.
You walk into
Because
England,
your own
nobody
mind
behaves.
is the only
So
thing
why
you
the
can
fuck
control.
would you
You
behave?
can't control the weather.
Nobody's scared of
You
the
can't
law.
control people.
Nobody's scared of their
You can't even
religion.
control whether
Nobody's
your heart
scared of the
stops
average
beating.
English
You might have a
man.
heart attack tomorrow.
And it's actually a
You
shame
can't
because the
control
British were a
anything
warrior
besides what you
nation,
think.
perhaps the best in
If
the
you
world at
cannot
it.
control your
The
own
average
mind,
English
then you
British
go
man
through
is
life
too
with
busy
zero
fighting against his
control.
fellow man for some
Zero
football
influence.
game,
You can't control
opposed to
anything.
fighting against anything
You're just
important.
a feather in the wind.
The whole
waiting
nation,
for life
head
to
to
blow
toe,
you
has
from
failed.
happy place
Whether
to
it's the way
sad
men
place to
interact with
happy
women,
place to sad
the way that
place.
children are raised,
Completely
the things they teach in
hoping on the
school,
gods
the
to be
family
fortunate
unit,
to you, because of any
marriages,
genuine
the legal
discomfort
system,
comes
the
your way,
financial
you're fucked.
system, the judicial system, the
It is
political
trained.
system. The
Like
fact you
everything
cannot
else
walk down the
in
street
life,
alone
it's
at
trained.
night
So if
with
you
a
find
nice watch
yourself
that you worked your
unable
life
to
off,
focus
your
or
life
concentrate
for,
on tasks,
without getting
you must
stabbed to
blink
death
to
by
your
somebody
brain.
who wasn't
If you
even
find yourself unable to
proves
go and
that it is
dedicate yourself
failed
to something you
nation
don't want to
state.
do,
I
you
absolutely
must
would not
blink
recommend
and
anybody do
cure
anything.
your brain. Because all of our minds
Get
have been
lifetime
under
access to
constant
all
assault for
13
years.
plus Andrew Tate courses.
The way
Link
the
in description
mind
and
functions,
comments.
the way